Well, hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut here with Brian Galke, and we are Aces 53. If you don't know what that is something I learned in college a long time ago. It was four aces and a joker, acronym for sales, which is attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile. The first joker in the deck is the 53rd card, and now you understand why it's Aces 53. That joker is that unique ability that you have or that you learn from someone. And today we always on Thursday bring in a guest that is that what we call the joker. Sometimes they like that statement and sometimes they don't. But anyway, we'll talk to how's it going, Brian?
Good. So we're here in Dallas, Texas. We're actually in a really cool art, not exhibit, art exhibit, I guess, studio. And so what we have with us today, or who we have with us, is today's joker is Dr. Remina. And so a little bit of background on her is, like most people we meet, ran her through fluke accident. Can't talk all of a sudden, and just got off doing a podcast with her too. But I was at an event speaking earlier or later last year, and she came to the event afterwards. She happened to know the organizers, and she's got a really cool story of how she got to be where she is. So with that being said, here's Dr. Remina. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. My
Our
pleasure to
pleasure.
be here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with something that's kind of unique that I didn't know about her, but I think you two will want to talk about, and that is she is a vet as well. So
Thank you for your service.
yeah, when she wanted to go in, one of the things when she knew that she wanted to go into school, but she was trying to figure out what did she want to do, she ended up joining the Air Force. That was a way that she didn't want to be a burden on her parents, was to by joining the military to then figure out what she was going to do for college. And then we'll let you take it from there on. You end up joining the military, what that did. And at the time, did you actually know you wanted to become a doctor?
Right. So, I mean, the military seems like it's ages ago, but just like we were just discussing, there was actually a moment that I clearly remember that it clicked to me. So most people growing up always say, yeah, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I know I was going to be a doctor. Me, it wasn't really that way. I had slightly a different upbringing, different cultural barriers that I had to overcome too. So when I was actually deployed in Iraq, it was in the middle of getting bombed, actually, to be graphic. So there is a moment where it occurred to me that I need to, if life isn't guaranteed, the next day is not guaranteed. So if I want to pursue my dreams, I need to get out of my own way and make it happen. So at that point, the thought that started in my young mind was, I want to be a doctor, but I don't think I can. So it turned into, I'm going to be a doctor. Let's make it happen. That was the first step. So I used, of course, the GI Bill, got me through undergrad at UT Austin, studied nutrition at that time. Then I made my way into grad school at UNT Health Science Center, and then of course went to University of Pikeville, Kentucky College of Medicine for medical school. And then of course I came to Fort Worth to do my residency in internal medicine. But of course the story doesn't stop there, right? Because it's conventional medicine versus getting into functional medicine, but creating my own brand. So that brings me to how I got to Dr. Remina. So with conventional medicine, it's so easy to be burnt out. It's corporate. Doctors are not really practicing the way they want to. It's always insurance-based. It's lots of red lines and things that you have to do. So what I noticed was during COVID is where it really stood out. COVID challenged everybody, but for me, it was truly a beast that came out and it burnt me out. It burnt everybody out. What I did with that was there is a big gap in our health system. It's great for a bandage approach. If you're having a heart attack, if you're having a stroke, it's good. Put a bandage on it, save your life. But there's a big gap in between that you're missing out. People want to have quality of life. They want to thrive. It's not just living and then you get to the last decade of life where you're decrepit in this country and you're in and out of the hospital. You have no quality of life. It doesn't have to be that way. So that's
Hey, hold on. I'm sorry, Brian. You're okay? She called you decrepit.
I think you're older than I am, so I'm good. I haven't moved this.
Sorry, we have to have fun. It's just not all about you, talking.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, no, and one of the things though, now
because I take it. Hold on, I take it you're in concierge medicine. Is that where you are? Okay,
that is, but a little bit more too. Yep.
Go ahead, Brian. But an interesting thing that we were talking about before we went on live was you went into the military because you originally thought, well, I don't really know what I want to do. I think I want to be a doctor. But then you found yourself in the middle of battle zones, right? So can you talk a little bit about that as well? I mean, so you joined to help pay for education, but here you found yourself front and center. What was that experience like?
Well, before you get
Yes.
there, what was your what we call in the military your MOS, or what were you in as? What did you go in as?
My real job before getting deployed was actually admin. It was going through the base information transfer center where you're getting all the packages through, making sure there's no suspicious packages like leaking bomb things, whatnot. But then when I was deployed, I was security forces. So here I am, my 18, 19-year-old mind thrown out of high school into the battle zone, right? So
Right.
yeah, it was an experience. There was actually interesting people I met too. Even though you're in a war zone, you find ways to cope.
Mhm.
You find your comrades, I guess. You find a way to make it through. But not only that, since I was in Iraq, there were local civilians that would come to base and work. And each of them had stories. They had different lives. I remember one lady that I met, she was showing me pictures of how beautiful Iraq was before it was war stricken,
Mhm.
and how she comes to the base to provide to her family. And she risks coming in and out. So in the midst, yes, we're in a battle zone. Yes, we're facing life and death, but it goes to show that that's a real person that has a life of their own and is risking their life to just come to the base and just get a paycheck. So
Mhm.
I built relationships there too with the local civilians. We had fun times. We kept our morale up. We would have like karaoke night within our, comrades. It was, even though it was Air Force, we were all blended. There was Army, Marines. We were all together, except for the Navy. Navy was not there, but the branches. We found
No,
ways. I also
because we're
played,
on a ship off the coast. That's why
yeah, right. I mean, you're kind of not physically there, but
we're there to give you support when you need the pounding of certain things.
yeah. But I think so. There was good times and bad times. You never knew when you were gonna have like a mortar or a rocket hit something. You just hope it doesn't hit you.
Right.
Those are the real day, everyday things that you have to think about. Also, the battling the mind, right? Because that's not only physically in a war zone, but your mind. You have to make sure it doesn't get the best of you.
And what you said a little bit earlier on the previous podcast was it was in the middle of all that, you really decided that's when you wanted to be a doctor. So it wasn't about self-preservation that moment. It was more of you want to help take care of others. Is that kind of when it came to you
Yeah,
at the time?
that's where it was.
Yeah.
It was. And it was also previously talking about getting over your own self-doubt, your imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
It took that life-threatening moment to really change my perspective. Yeah.
Well, what I'm shocked at is you went in as a military, as I don't want to say police basically, but that's security. And then you went into the medical field. So I joined the Navy as a corpsman thinking, did I want to go into the medical field?
So
Right.
you
And just,
knew. You already
well,
knew.
I was like, well, that was my question. Do I want to go in? Because I've talked to so many people who are in the medical field and they were like, as a doctor, like, well, I did all this time and then they're not happy. Right. It was the same with attorneys. I talked to so many attorneys when I thought about, back in 2006, going back to school, and they're like, I hate my job. If you could do anything else, go do something, stay doing something else. So
Did you pick that because you just like to argue, Ed? Is that you thought I like to argue, I'll just be a lawyer? Is that
were you trying to be funny?
yes? I was funny. You just didn't get it. It's
I'm
fine.
laughing.
Yeah. Oh, that's because you're next to them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Proximity has power.
Laughter is contagious, whether or not it's funny or not. It's a different
That's right.
story. Yeah. No, but a lot of people don't understand why people go in the military. I do have another podcast called Helping the Brave, where I have people come in and it's for us that once we take our uniform off, how we transition and what we go through. And I'm also doing so feel free to fly out to California, but I'm doing a Firewalk for veterans April 12th and 13th to reignite their passion. Because a lot of veterans are, we get lost after we get out. We don't know what our purpose is. We're trying to figure that out. And even though we have a job or we know what we want to do, we still have lost that purpose because we're used to being told what to do all day long. And then you get out and you're not told. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I love California. I'll come out, support veterans, of course.
It's Modesto, so it's not that great. It's a great place to go to other places from.
One of those. Okay.
Way to sell it, Ed. Now
No, I mean,
she's ready to buy,
it's a
and then
great
you said
place. No, it's a great place, but I mean, I'm an hour from the mountains, an hour from the coast, an hour from this, so it's I like Modesto myself. It's just a lot of people. You're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have humidity. So there's a difference.
and it's starting to get
Huge
hot.
difference.
We're already in the 80s and 90s this week. So yes.
Yeah.
It's
When
fun.
we're 80s and 90s, we're like, this is beautiful. This is amazing. It's when we get into the 110, but we don't have humidity. But
Yeah,
Mm.
it's a difference.
A swimming pool, when you get in and get out, you dry off. You don't stay sweaty.
Oh yeah, in Texas, we're like, "Hi, how's it going?" Just dripping sweat the whole time. No, it's great. It's perfect. Just wiping sweat everywhere. So you went to school. You military to help fund your dream. School, medical school, afterwards, working in a hospital, obviously. What made you decide to say, I don't want to stay in the hospital the rest of my life?
Yeah, it was that corporate environment during COVID
Mhm.
where really nobody knew what was going on, but day after day just burnt out. And in the beginning, people were very appreciative, but then of course the corporate system still made us, there's a lot of misinformation that came out. So doctors were blamed to basically, I mean, I wouldn't say cover it up, but minimize how severe COVID was.
Mhm.
And so if you tried to protect yourself, you were spoken to. I guess you wouldn't say like reprimanded, but it was frowned upon. Don't wear masks.
You were advised.
Yes. You were advised. Don't wear masks. Don't scare people. I'm like, we're doctors. This is medicine.
Yeah.
It's not a political issue. It's about life and death.
Mhm.
So that not being appreciated, and then of course patients wouldn't be as appreciative anymore either. So all of that, like you go through school, you sacrifice your life. It's, I would say, a one-sided relationship. You don't
Yeah.
go back to an abusive relationship, right?
Right.
Medicine has become that, unfortunately. So I did a lot of soul searching, and the reason why I went into medicine was, yes, to help people.
Mhm.
But I also firmly believe that there's a lifestyle component, and people are different. Everyone is complex. Yes, you have a body of organs, but that's not it. You're not just symptoms. You have a mind, body, and spirit. And that just wasn't always necessarily considered in a life-threatening situation in the hospital. So then, of course, coming across to one of my friends, we talked about functional medicine. So I did a little bit of research on it, and basically functional medicine, if you're familiar with conventional, which everyone is, I like to start with how you compare it and how they blend.
Mhm.
It's really a blend. What I do is a blend of Eastern and Western medicine, just more personalized. So with conventional medicine, you're going to go to see your physician for a bandage approach. You have a complaint, throw meds on it, don't figure out what's going on.
Mhm.
It's standard. Everyone gets the same labs, the same medicine, and that's it. You're not looking deeper. Functional medicine, it considers you as an individual. You actually get someone to sit down and talk to you thoroughly, deeply, listen to you, explain everything, figure out how you're sleeping, what's your stress like, what are you eating, what's your relationships like, right? What's your mind doing? Do you have a spiritual connection? Everything is considered looking at your genes and your environment. So the labs we do, it's also personalized too, right? Say if you look at, say you're going to the doctor for just like a lipid panel, right? Just your standard cholesterol. Well, your cholesterol is high. That's it. Just throw this medicine at you. But if you look at it, it's really lifestyle. But not only lifestyle, changing the way you eat and everything, the labs that you get, you look at the labs from conventional and functional. Functional will break down each particle of cholesterol.
Right.
Cholesterol is not just one marker on your lab report, it's more. So it breaks down specifically where it is according to what's going on to your biochemistry.
Mhm.
And same thing if you're men or women on hormones, right? Your hormones may be quote unquote normal, but they're not optimal. And so why are you feeling tired? Why is your mood off? Things like that. That's what you optimize. So there's so much you could do, whether you're unwell or you want to biohack, right? If you want to biohack your system, you want to figure out how to thrive. So I take that approach. That's one component. So I have the concierge. I see the functional medicine approach, and people love it because they're being heard. It's personalized. They get access to me. They text me anytime they need me or call me. Then, of course, I get the entrepreneurial side because that's what, it's amazing to be on this side, right? Like podcasting.
Right.
Podcast, get the message out, meet people to create more things, commonalities. Then getting into like workshops. So I'll go speak and do workshops with, maybe I'll talk about a wellness component. Then my friends will come follow through with like meditation or sound bath. Then branching into not only optimizing just regular normal people, but also now getting to athletes. And then now getting into not artist, the creative in the film industry, because there's a big component of mental health there as well. So Dr. Remina turned into a bunch of things that I can do, and I love it. So day job, yes, it's a hospital, but this is my passion, and I'm growing it to become my main job.
Ed, question?
Yes, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
let's talk about, all right, so we know who she is and what she does. How do you promote this? How do you get the word out? How have you changed who you are? Because one of the things I've done to be the what's the word I'm looking for? The authority in my industry is I have a book. I've been on many podcasts. I have a radio show. I also been in a documentary. How are you getting the word out about what you do, and so that people know what they can, I guess
Yeah.
that was a question. How are you getting to become that authority in your industry?
Well, that's a great question. It first started with word of mouth, starting back with our mutual connection, word of mouth, getting out there. And then now more and more people are seeing what I do, making my presence on social media, having the podcast out. Book is on the list. One day I'll be cool like you guys. But it's really building.
Hold on. There's only one of us that have a book out.
I know. I was waiting for him to say it. I was waiting for him to say it. Yeah.
Well,
Just had to, Brian.
Yeah, I know.
It was easy, right?
Yeah.
So it's and it's building those relationships and networking out there. So a big part of what I also do is women empowerment. So there's so many women out there making their own companies and being entrepreneurs, and we support each other, and that has helped me open up more doors as well. So the relationship aspect, but also getting myself out there, social media, doing talk speaking and podcasts and everything. So it's coming out there. People are finding me. So it's such a, I feel so grateful to have this come to fruition now, right? It's something that I just thought of, but now people are finding me and really understand what I do. And it's the way people are going towards. They want a more holistic in the wellness, not just holistic woo-woo type of sense, but an actual personalized approach to them, not just a bandaged 5-minute approach.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to jump
Who's your
in for a
perfect
minute.
client? Sorry, I got a question. You're there.
Yeah.
You've been talking to him for hours. No, my question is, one of the things we talk about is niching down, figuring out who your perfect client is, and that's who you need to focus on. You can take additional, but that's who you need to focus on. So who's your perfect client?
That's a very good question. And I know I shouldn't say everyone, but I would narrow it down. Yeah, but it really is anyone who's willing to do the work and make a change on themselves. That is the one characteristic that I would say, if you're willing to make the change. Because yes, I am the expert with the tools, but it's the person that's ready to make that change that they want. Whatever their why is that keeps them going, but are they willing to make that change?
What changes that? What changes that?
What changes? What do you mean?
What change are they willing to
like
make?
change. Yeah. Oh, so it's whatever. Is it maybe you're stressed all the time? So what's your root cause approach to get you stressed? Is it lifestyle? Well, maybe if you're eating a bunch of crap in the processed diet, maybe we need to adjust that. Are you ready to adjust that? Because you can't eat that. Or maybe you just need to go outside in the sunlight, get some fresh air, start walking. Are you willing to make that change? Is it the lifestyle component? Is it, there's so many factors that is considered in the personalized approach, and it only requires you to be committed to change. Everything else we can work on. Gotcha. So that's what I mean by change.
Go ahead, Brian.
So I want to go back to what she was talking about a second ago. Well, two things. One, for anybody who doesn't know what functional medicine is, I want to give just a very simple analogy. Is you don't drive your car until it breaks down, right? Most people go in, you get your oil changed, they check everything while you're there. That's more like functional medicine, right? It's keeping an eye on your body the entire time, not waiting until you break down, then bring it into the shop. Yes. And then having you as a concierge doctor is like, I always take my car to the Acura dealership because I know they only work on Acuras. Yes, I have an oil change place that's literally 2 minutes from my house, but I take it back to the expert that I trust because they are experts in that one area, right? Versus knowing every car. I want the person who knows the most about my own car to come back in. So is that a fair analogy on functional medicine versus break fix or Band-Aid doctors?
Yes, you summed it up very well. Thank you.
And then to give yourself, I don't think you gave yourself enough credit. And that is, it's not just people finding you. You also reached out to me and said, I want to meet Amberly. Can you do an introduction?
Yeah, that's true.
And then you followed up on it. So that's the other way that you're becoming known on in a variety of ways is you're not afraid to take action. And Ed is a big fan of, he grew up a long time ago in the Stone Age where you made phone calls to people and you reached out to do things. And you're doing that because you could have just sat back and been like, well, I hope one day I run into Amberly as an example. But you're like, hey, I saw that you know Amberly. Will you introduce us? And here's the reason why. And we did that introduction. She was on your podcast already less than a month later. So it's taking that action when it comes out is another reason why you're at the level you're at. So you're not just a book smart doctor, and I mean that in a nice way, but you're taking action steps that is more entrepreneurial than anything else. And I think that's a big reason for your success that I don't think you were giving yourself credit for.
Thank you for that.
Well, and a lot of doctors stopped going on doing their own practice. They ended up going to companies like Kaiser's huge where I am, and my actual wife works for Kaiser. But they're, you go to work for them. There's no, you don't have to worry about the insurance. You don't have to worry about, malpractice insurance. You don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. And they make, $400,000 or $500,000 a year as a doctor, just going to work every day, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. So for a lot of doctors, that's great. But there is a huge change because not everybody in my area people understand. You got a Kaiser, which is an insurance company that owns hospitals. And it depends on what your employer is having on the plan of whatever your services are. It's not Kaiser itself. So what you're doing is, I'm a concierge doctor. I'm here to help you. But are you taking insurances? Are you just taking cash? How are you doing that going with your practice?
No, I'm cash based. And the reason being is you're always restricted by insurance. They're not going to let you treat the person as an individual, and they're going to restrict it, right? Like, you have to cover so much and see so many people on an insurance-based practice that you are restricted. And so I choose not to go through that route. And people love that. They'd rather not just worry about insurance.
But it's a monthly subscription, right? That people do. So it's not just hey, I'll call you up because I need you right now. It's with a subscription comes X amount of services, and there's different tiers to your practice as well.
That is one. And then I started adding in just a fee for service.
Oh, you
because
did? Okay.
People appreciate that. Because if they want just, hey, let me just get in there, let's get a consult, let's just get a follow-up. I don't need as intense a follow-up. Let's do that. So it's really easy to work with for everyone. Yeah.
There you go.
So Brian's one of your clients. I know you have HIPAA. You can't talk about it. Is he? Is he ready to make the change?
I'm not, but I did look at her website and I was thinking, I need to add that back in, because what I'm paying every month for traditional insurance that I don't use, and we talked about earlier, is 12 years ago, I went to a naturopathic doctor in Arizona because I couldn't find any in Texas, and I had a full blood panel done, and we talked on her podcast about it was the first time I felt actually seen by a doctor. They didn't just come in, stare at the paper, go, yep, you're this, you're this, you're this, take this, here's your prescription, and go. It was a doctor sat and talked to me for an hour straight and gave me, this is what I can prescribe. So I'll just be honest, it was testosterone. He's like, your testosterone numbers suck. They're like 190. And, but then you can buy this over the counter. Here, go take vitamin D plus K2. It was things I could do on my own. And then what they thought medical intervention would help as well. And I've referred numerous people. The only reason I still don't go to Dr. Wozni, he's a great doctor, is because he can't write prescriptions in the state of Texas.
Well, then there you go. I'm here.
There you go.
So it sounds to me like your niche is people who can afford it. And please don't take that wrong.
It's actually really affordable. Like, if you look at, you have insurance, you have to pay a copay. My copay, it could be like almost $200. It's ridiculous. That's not even, I actually charge less than that. I'll just tell you that. So it's very affordable for everyone.
Right. I pay $5 for my copay because my wife works for Kaiser, and I'm special because my wife works for Kaiser. I talk to my doctor. I can get anything from my doctor as long as it's covered through their system, and most of the stuff is. And if it's not, they just have to state why. It's just, but again, a lot of the doctors in those systems are overwhelmed. They have to, not only do their shift, but then they got to do talking about their, all that stuff they have to do afterwards to make sure everything's in. So it's a lot of work. As you keep talking, I'm questioning why, and please, this is just me, you haven't focused on women who are going through the change and all the stuff that's associated with that. Because I'll just say I knew somebody who went through that. And there isn't a lot of services out there. There is not the information about how to do the hormone replacement, how to do a lot of the other stuff to do it. Plus, those women do a lot of plastic surgeries, and they're always looking for information on who to go to. And there's a really good plastic surgeon in Houston that's freaking amazing. That I don't know if we can talk afterwards, but I'm just saying there's a huge need right there. That because I'm amazed how many women are looking for that help.
I actually do. And that's where the personalized approach comes. Most of my clients are women. And I would say a small percentage of that do want to have help within the hormonal changes. So I do that. And it's actually going back to getting to root cause, giving the building blocks. So just like Brian, you mentioned, you could take this vitamin, that vitamin.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, vitamins and minerals are the building blocks for hormones. So if you're going to throw just hormone replacement, but not get into the deficiency that you have and the lifestyle component, then you're not doing yourself service. You're just throwing medicine at it. There's so much you could do from a woman going to go through menopause. If they're perimenopausal, there's so much you could do before getting to the point where you may need hormone replacement. So I do work with women a lot on that too. And it goes into the personalized approach to that. Yeah.
So the question is, what can you not do? I mean, obviously you can't do open heart surgery at somebody's house, but what are the limitations that someone would have to go traditional medicine versus concierge?
Oh, definitely. If you have, I would say, life-threatening, and if you're really complicated, you need like an IV admission to the hospital, I can see you in the hospital, but my concierge service is going to be limited to that. Sure. So all the labs, all the supplements, all those things are concierge. They're delivered to you. It's really simple as possible. But if it transitions into an acute exacerbation of an illness, like say if you have
that means really sick for everybody else. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for that. If you're really sick and you need a hospital,
got that, Brian. It was not like it was an acronym.
If you're sick and you need a hospital, that's where I would push you over to go outside of concierge and go to a hospital. Everything else, most of my patients are wanting to use a more holistic approach. So even if they're on certain medications that they work with a cardiologist, or if a heart doctor or a kidney doctor, I still work in conjunctions, but there's things you could do to de-escalate their medications. Maybe they might not need to be on certain medicines forever. Maybe it's just a lower dose. So I work in conjunction with everyone with these tools. It really is the blend of Eastern and Western medicine.
So you recommend people to still have their insurance, and then you're additional to their normal insurance. So that way, if something major happens, their insurance is covered, that kind of stuff. But additional to take care of themselves, to get into better health and better things that their normal insurance wouldn't get through. That's what you're there for.
Exactly. And that's where the gap is, because you don't want to wait until your car is completely broken down to pay attention. Right?
Why'd you look at Brian about a car breaking down?
I had a flat tire once. Well, okay, putting this in perspective.
We just did.
Oh, no, I mean, no, financial perspective. When people hear concierge doctor, they think of you pulling up in a limo and it's going to cost them $1,000 a visit. It's actually, I looked at your website. It's a very reasonable thing. Some people spend more on their monthly gym membership than it is to have a concierge doctor. So when I first heard that term, I thought it was out of reach for the common person. I thought if you don't have a mansion, you can't have this service. But what is your website so people can find you?
Sure. I like to keep it simple. And I know it's not hard to find, right? It's www.doctor, so DRREMINA, drremina.com. And that's with everything. So my website, my Instagram, and my podcast also, the Dr. Remina Pinjwani Show.
Yeah.
So you'll find me.
So drremina.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
And go and look, because I was surprised to see how much the monthly one was. I assumed it was going to be thousands of dollars a month, and there's no way, if I'm not living in a high rise or something like this, that it's not affordable. And I was very surprised on how affordable it is. And I think that's something listeners should look at, is even in their own area, if they don't live here in Dallas Fort Worth area. We talked off before this podcast about the last few years, people have come to realize the importance of vitamin D. What is something that you think more people need to add to their life that aren't doing it that would just be a general help? I know you're not giving us specific medical advice, even though you are a doctor, but what is it that you just wish more people were aware of and or utilize?
With all the things we have available in this very knowledgeable society and everything's accessible, I would say the one thing people don't give enough credit or time is recovering in any way. You're always going to go, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's, if you're a fitness person, like push, if you're constantly in a demanding job and you can't sleep, or you're just go. People don't give time for themselves to turn it off and have active recovery. They're always in front of a screen thinking that's rest time. But active recovery, meaning truly let yourself rejuvenate so you could be present and more aware and more functioning altogether. So maybe being in nature, or maybe just doing some sort of movement, whatever. It doesn't have to be exercise, because people freak out sometimes if you say exercise. Just go move, be outside, take care of your needs. People neglect that. So yes, I could go off of, yes, these supplements, yes, do all this for a longer, healthy life, but it's really the recovery that's just as important, to reset everything internally. All your hormones, your happy chemical messengers, your sad chemical messengers, your stress response, everything, and affects and shows up in your daily life.
So in addition to concierge medicine, you teach yoga?
Well,
or you ask people to incorporate yoga?
Yeah.
You mentioned sound baths, meditation. What are some other things that used to be woo-woo that people are incorporating a lot more now? Are there other ones you can think of besides those?
Yeah, breathwork.
People
just need to breathe, right? Just even if it's on a certain cadence, because that resets your stress response. So, you see people that may be more anxious. And if you just take a minute to be mindful and breathe, that scientifically resets your stress response.
What about, and I'm asking on behalf of Ed here. So Ed, during the winter months, goes and utilizes his pool as his cold plunge.
Oh, yes.
And now, in addition to the the Arctic temperatures, if you want to call it that, we know that heals the body and everything. Do you think the breath work that you have to do to control it is also a factor in why that is such a helpful practice?
Oh, yes. I love talking about cold plunge. Yes, that is definitely, because you're training your mind to be present, mindful, and you're resetting that stress response. So that stress hormone that is common, the most common one is cortisol. So when you breathe, you're changing that fight or flight response, that's stressed, into a rest digest response. So you're actively doing that forcibly in the cold water, and it really does reset everything. So not only like mentally, but you do have physical benefits too. Yeah.
I take it you don't do cold plunges?
Me or Brian?
Oh,
either one of you. Either one of you.
I don't have the capability.
It's not what I asked. Yes or no?
No, I've done them. Like when we went to
there's not a lot of breathing. Once you get in, a few seconds, you're like, and then you're like, okay, you're calm.
No. So the first part, when you get in, every time I've been in, it's a, and then like you said, then you get to the controlled breathing, which is the point of what she was saying with breath work, is when you're focused on your breathing and what you're doing, you could make the analogy of Wim Hof, right? So Wim Hof, if you've read up on his studies and everything, they actually took not just him, because they thought, well, maybe this guy's an anomaly, but he would train people. They injected them with a virus, and they were able to breathe their way through it so that they didn't get sick. I don't know if you've read up on his studies at all, but it's pretty fascinating. They tried to purposely get everybody sick, and he sat with them and gave them breath and meditation work, and none of the recipients got an illness. And the reason he found it was his wife committed suicide when he had young kids, and he started researching on what was going on and found that breath was like this magic pill that everybody has access to, but nobody knows really how to use. And so he started the Wim Hof method. For anybody who's not familiar with it, which I think most people know, it's WIMHOFF, or no, WIMHOF, only one F. But he teaches that around the world, and he goes, and now it's interesting how cold plunges kind of came out in the last, 5 years, that he was one of the first ones to do ice baths and everything. And now you can't go hardly anywhere without somebody teaching it. So much like Ed is doing the Firewalk for veterans, that is something that's transformational that people can do one time and has a long-term effect. But now more and more people are adding in what is a daily substance, and that is the Wim Hof method or ice plunges like Ed
Yeah.
does.
Well, the cold plunge is just change. It makes you happy afterwards. It's amazing how it messes with that, and that's what hormone.
Well, it depends. It's neurotransmitters and hormones, and that's also
Yeah.
one of those that before used to be woo-woo. But I mean, look,
Yeah.
everyone's doing it. Athletes, just people injured, just anybody. The same thing as sauna, right?
I was just going to ask.
Infrared
Okay,
sauna.
so okay, what about a recent one I heard was that if you spend, and this was just some article I read, 20 minutes 3 times a week in a sauna, it doesn't even have to be infrared. If it is, that's an extra bonus on top of it. But just 3 weeks or 3 times a week, 20 minutes reduces cardiovascular anomalies by like 20%. Just
So what
getting in
he saw an Instagram post by Dr. Huberman.
It was
that's-
TikTok. No, yeah.
No, it's on there. It's constant.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. And I followed Miss Dr. Huberman all the
Yeah.
time in his podcast, and he talks about all this stuff.
Mhm.
And it's a great and that's how I got into figuring out how cold plunges would work for me and how to do it right is because I researched it. It's not just get in there and get out. It depends on what the temperature is, how long you're going to be in there, and why are you doing it. And I tell everybody before you get in it the first time, especially if you're using your pool for the first time to see if you'll do it on a regular basis. That's why I used my pool. Is my wife was like, make sure you're going to do it before you buy it. Why don't you use the pool? And so I did that, and I did it every day. And the days I didn't do it, it was a totally different person. But if you got in there, it changed your attitude and everything about what, and I'm trying to think of the hormone. I'm thinking of dopamine. Is that the one?
Here's dopamine. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So that with that cold plunge, your dopamine stays in you for hours, right? When people take cocaine, the dopamine goes up, but it drops with any drug for right afterwards. Where with cold plunges, for some reason, it stays for hours and hours. And that is a totally different. And that's why everybody's like, I'm so much happier when I get out of there.
Yeah, there's science
So
behind
Brian
it.
needs to do it more.
Cocaine or cold plunges?
Whatever
One
works for you,
sees-
buddy. Whatever works for you. The cocaine will make you skinnier, but cold plunges would too. Yeah.
We went to
And then there's the
wedding
other brown fat versus white fat with the cold plunges also. Yeah.
Yeah, changing that body comp. Yep.
this is a wedding hack more than anything. We went to Mexico last July for a wedding, and it was hot. It's like 108 degrees. And so what we figured out was go and do the cold plunge before the wedding so you're not sweating when you're in your entire suit. Because we went that morning and we did 15 minutes in the cold plunge, and I didn't sweat for like 3 hours when we're out in the sun versus the day before. You're just dripping it everywhere. So we did that before we went to the weddings. We're like, let's go back in the cold plunge again. And chill back down so we're not dying while we're at this wedding, because the wedding was on the beach, had a nice breeze. But man, we went to the reception, there was no wind current. You're just there going,
that's a good trick. I'm gonna have to try that since I'm going next week.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, because the thing about it, your body has to warm itself back up. That's why they say once you do it, don't take a shower for 2 to 3 hours so that you warm back up naturally. Otherwise, why do it? Because you're not doing it right. Yeah. But anyway, this is not a podcast on cold plunges and other stuff. So
Just we're talking about ways to relax and the important part of what people don't add in. Now, a question for you though. So you have the corporate, right? You work in hospitals, then you have the concierge. Do you have to have like, there's a great book called The Alter Ego Effect, which is you're Superman or you Clark Kent. So is there something way that you prepare yourself that when you walk out of the hospital, I'm now Dr. Remina, the concierge doctor, versus I'm the corporate doctor during the day? Is there a way that you physically change yourself or mentally? How do you do it?
Yeah, I fill up my own cup. That's why I take time for active recovery, because that will get to you. I try to leave that mindset as soon as I leave the hospital, but that's not always the case. So I make sure I go reset and remember why I'm doing this, remembering my why. My why is the kids, right? My kiddos. They need to have a happy mom. I have to pay the bills. And I think conventional medicine is great in what it's supposed to do, life-saving. So I remember why I'm doing that and forget about all the extra noise, the people, the attitudes and whatnot. And then I focus, reset, and then I go, oh, I can make a change in a different way. And I can go inspire people. I can go be creative. And that in itself just fuels me.
Right.
So that is it, inspiring it by itself, just thinking about what I get to go do today.
And just to kind of talk about something, and if you don't want to talk about it, we can stop it off. What we also talked about is you have a supportive spouse. So even though they don't do what you do, they support what you do.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've talked about before. Ed and I have is you have to have a support structure around you, because if you're going against the grain and you're not doing the 9 to 5, Ed does loans, I speak, Ed's also a speaker, you're a speaker. When you start doing that, people walk up and go, oh, you're just trying to be Anthony Robbins. You're trying to be this. And it's like, no, that's not the way it works. You have to find people that support you. So would you say that if you didn't have the supportive spouse, who they don't have to do what you do, but they're there to support you, could you have made the leap?
Oh, definitely not. And it's more than that. Just like we said, it takes a village.
Right.
If I would not be able to make it where I am today if it wasn't for my parents helping with the kids, and also the husband, that even though he doesn't understand exactly what I do, he doesn't understand the entrepreneurial spirit, because that's not how he was raised.
Right.
But there's a common goal, and it's just supporting. Like, okay, well, you can go do what you need to do. It makes you happy. It's pretty cool to watch you develop in this way. But it's still coming back to the common goal. Is the family taken care of?
Right.
Yeah.
And we gave the analogy when we were talking offline of, you may want to do yoga, he may want to go do CrossFit. The goal is still health. You're just achieving it different ways.
Exactly.
And that's where a lot of people think, oh, well, if you're not doing what I'm doing, then you're not the same. No, you can, as long as the end goal is the most important part, is, don't hurt animals, don't hurt kids, and you have the common same goal, do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep the peace.
Yeah. So with that, we are coming up on 41 minutes. If there was, okay, well, Ed, do you have any questions before we?
No.
Okay, so we talked
just
before.
so you know, because this isn't new to me, because I'm
Yeah.
in, and please don't think I'm in California. We have this, and even in Modesto, we have concierge doctors who do this because of what you just went through, how people want more out of life and want to do more. So we've had them, they're all over, and it's great that they're going elsewhere. So that,
No,
I mean, so
definitely. California is definitely progressive, but I think Texas is changing as well.
Slowly but surely we're
Yes.
getting there. Yeah. Now, when we first have, we had like low T centers pop up for men. So, well, if you go there, guess what you're going to have? Low T all the time. But you're right in that people realize that I can just talk to doctors and not, telemedicine or go into a physical office only when I'm broken. But how do I live my best life, for lack of a better term, of an optimal life of achievement? So people are used to hiring nutritionists, people are used to hiring trainers, but the idea of I can work with a doctor one-on-one was foreign to everyone until recently, especially here in Texas. Like you said, Arizona for a long time, California for a long time. Thankfully that's slowly making it into the Midwest and central regions, but it was a long time for us.
What was your question?
Go ahead.
What was your question?
That's what I was getting ready to go to. So parting thoughts on anything. So somebody who's interested in concierge doctor, you've already talked about the most important thing to you. What is the first step you recommend to anybody who's not in the area here to look up you when they're researching a concierge doctor? What are your highlights of this? Is if I was an individual person, what would I look for in that type of doctor?
Well, see if certification is always a plus. Not saying they have to be certified to be a good functional medicine physician, but it helps. And then where they get certified, that's important. And are they accessible? That's also important. Are they accessible? And what's their personality like? You want to have someone that you're comfortable talking to and trust. I would go off of that. Because the rest, like anybody else can teach you about nutrition. Anybody else can teach you about all the other components. But if you have a good therapeutic relationship with someone who is genuine and has the credentials and the training, that makes it even much more impactful.
Awesome.
And of course, personality, right?
Yeah.
You have personality.
And then do you refer to other states? Because you're not licensed in all the states, are you?
I'm licensed in certain states, like California, I'm licensed in Arizona, I'm licensed in. So with that, so being an internal medicine physician, that's my boards. My licensure goes based off of those boards. So I'm licensed in certain states outside of Texas. So I can take non-Texas residents. Just depends on the state.
Gotcha.
Good question.
Oh, thank you. I finally got a good question there. So.
I know. I did forget to ask you a question earlier, Ed. You said your actual wife. Do you have a fake wife too?
I don't know. Do I?
I don't know. You said, well, my actual wife, and that was just a weird way to say it. So
yeah, well, I don't remember. Sorry. I've been on air since, forever. So today. So it's all becoming blurry for me.
So while we're talking about, you want to talk about the Firewalk again before we go out, Ed, just because it is a big deal with you both being veterans and everything?
Yeah, so we have operationfirewalk.com. Go there, check it out. We're doing firewalks for veterans. It's the 12th and 13th of April. It's just to help you reignite your purpose. That's the, and the gentleman who's doing it is David Albin, and he's on all the podcasts, but he worked for Tony Robbins for 15 years running it, and then he went out on his own because Google called him, and then NASA called him, and then everybody's calling him to do these firewalks and glass walks. And he's a veteran. And so he's coming to do that at our place. And so it's the first one nationwide for vets. And it's one of many. And so it's important to get this out so we get it going. But the biggest issue we run into, I'm in California, is politics. It's ridiculous. You want to put a firewalk on, there's politics involved when it comes to smoke. Yeah, from the embers, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So soon you're going to have vaping firewalks,
Exactly.
vaping walks.
It just no, but we could do glass, but everybody's freaked out about glass, walking on broken glass more than walking on fire.
Yeah,
I would be.
Yeah, I've done both, and yeah, I think the glass was a scary one because they're worried about what if they fall or anything else. Like they did the big firewalk here in Dallas 10 years ago. And of course, thousands of people make it across, and like one or two people did, and they're like, "Oh, look what happened!" News blowing everything out of proportion. But
well, here's the difference: the gentleman he makes sure you go at the same pace all the way through and don't stop. He walks with you all the way, and he does it for everybody. But he's done 12,000 people at one time.
Oh,
wow!
Not one time walking across, but for one event. Yeah, to be clear. So he's done some major events. So the purpose of this is just to get it going, get the word out so we can do more of these. It's just another way to help vets to get through their, committing suicide, because that 22 a day plus that one active duty member committing suicide, we've lost more vets and since 9/11 than we have in the last 3 wars put together.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, take us out, Brian. Otherwise, we'll be here for an hour.
Yeah, I know. All right, everybody. Thank you. Well, again, Ed, for joining us today. Dr. Remina for drremina.com. That's her podcast. That's how you find her basically everywhere. I mean, she kind of marketed herself very, very well, because if you can spell her last name, Remina, you can find her pretty much everywhere. But drremina.com. Thank you for joining us today. And everybody, the best way you can support us is on Tuesdays. Ed and I bicker like the old men on the Muppets. And then on Thursdays, we bring in a special guest joker like today with Dr. Remina. Just subscribe to the channel, follow us here, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday or Thursday.
thank you.